Hello, this is Shannon Kleibrink, and you are listening to the Future of Curling Masterclasses, presented by Curling Canada with support from the World Curling Federation's Development Assistance Program. In this episode, we explore why people should care about your brand, how to get people to care about your next curling experience, what's changed in our world of no attention span, and the way you look at marketing, including the use of new tools, even if it seems scary at first. This masterclass is presented by Jeph Maystruck. Jeph has an utter disregard for the status quo. He gives keynotes regularly on marketing and social media and runs a marketing company out of Regina called Strategy Lab. Outside of work, Jeph co-founded Big Idea Camp, co-founded the Honest Conference, and has taught marketing at Saskatchewan Polytechnic and social media at the University of Regina. Jeph has published over 100 songs on SoundCloud. His DJ name is DJ Clumsy Vegetarian, but his greatest achievement in life so far has been fatherhood.
Hi, I'm Jeph Maystruck. I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan, and I am the Chief Interrupting Officer at Strategy Lab Marketing. And for the better part of this year, we've been going all over with the Business of Curling Symposium, talking to different curling clubs and curling folks all over Canada. And I gotta say, I've been loving every minute of it. This used to be called Stop Selling, Start Caring. But what we found is anybody that's running a curling club right across Canada, they already care. That's not what I want you to think about. I want you to start thinking about this phrase, that'll never work. Think about that. I actually stole it from Mark Randolph. If you've never heard of him, that's okay. He's one of the fellows that founded a little old company. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Netflix. And the amount of times he was told that'll never work when he started Netflix, well, he had to write a book about it. So to me, that's the theme throughout this. I'm going to talk about 10 shifts in the marketing world that I've seen over the past 11 years. We run a marketing company out of Regina, Saskatchewan, but not just marketing, creativity. I don't believe in regular things in this world. My socks never match. I don't know if we can get that shot in there. Socks don't match. I don't believe in cutlery organizers. True story though, this year my mom bought us a cutlery organizer and my girlfriend was so ecstatic. You know how my son and I do the dishwasher now? We grab all the cutlery and just throw it in. You don't need to organize things. So, again, you're thinking to yourself, but Jeph, that'll never work. Yes, it can. You just need to start thinking it will. Okay, let's get into it. Our story is we had the project of a lifetime. 2020 happens. Actually, let's roll back. Let's go back for a second. It's 2009. The Winter Olympics is happening. We get a call from a Mr. Ben Hebert. Turns out he's going to the Olympics to play for Team Canada, and we're going to do a day in the life. We filmed the video. It was really cool. Then all of a sudden, he wins the gold medal. And coming back, he's famous now. In this video we did, we don't think anything of it. Ben goes on, plays multiple teams. Fast forward 10 years to 2020, and I get a call from Ben Hebert again. Pandemic set in. Their tour's canceled. They're not going anywhere other than in Alberta and BC. And they basically need to change their sponsorship and flip it on its head and do everything different. And so I still remember where in Regina I was when I got the phone call because I was so excited about it. I was in Victoria Park with my daughter at the time, and it's Ben. So it's, hey, well, we need you to stream our games. We need sponsor videos. We need to do commercials for all the people we've been working with. And I literally just say, yes. That sounds amazing. I want to be a part of this. So we got to go on tour. We got to go in the Winnebago. So if you've ever seen the Team Cooey Winnebago that they had, they said they slept in this thing outside of every spiel they went to across Alberta and BC. And well, I hate to break it to you, that was a little bit of a lie. I was staying in the Winnebago, or the Canada Dream, and they would stay in hotels. But I would basically get it ready for the mornings. They'd come and it would become their locker room before they'd go in, just because COVID had all the rules. So it was a pretty cool, I think we did 5 spiels. The following year, Brandon still tagged along and did streaming from all the curling clubs. But that was one of the cool things is, for that year in 2020, we showed up to all these places and we were setting up iPhone cameras on tripods and there was a switcher behind the glass. It was very, I want to say, old school. Fast forward till now, everyone has streaming. Everyone's doing what we did, but it looks way better. It's more professional. Things like Curling Live have taken off. So I think curling has basically revamped itself. Since 2020, it's a completely different game. One cool story, when we were in Penticton at the Spiel, Johnny loves to fish. And so he takes the canoe out one day, catches nothing, talks to a local and finds out there's this secret hidden stream behind the lake that he has to go check out. So what we see though, an hour later, is him coming back soaking wet, fish in hand. He catches a rainbow trout. But the story of how he caught it was even better. He goes to this freshwater stream in this lake, and he's got his rod in there as the canoe's going, and he has to keep paddling because otherwise he's gonna be taken away. Well, the fish catches on, and Johnny's now either gotta wrangle the fish in or paddle. He can't do both. So he actually has the fish in one hand, trying to paddle in the other, and this is why he's soaked by the time he actually gets back to the cabin, is because he actually struggled to get this thing in. We cooked the fish. He cooked it that night. It was a perfect, I can't even remember what he cooked it at. But I just remember eating it and I said, I'm not a big fish fan other than sushi, but this was incredible. That's what it was like on the road with these guys. It was, I can't say enough good things. It was too fun. Like the amount of laughs, the amount of jokes that they'd have, and the amount of times they'd just go out to eat and say, yeah, just come along, just hang along. Or the one time we were in Banff when Cooey's, one of his briars where he had that crazy shot to win. That game was on while we were in this restaurant. You could see people around us looking, being like, is that the guy from TV here? And it was. Real quickly before we start, this is the tweet from Mark Randolph. He tweeted this on April 14th this year, 25 years ago to the day of launching Netflix. I had a moment of just pure excitement for him, for doing something that no one thought he could do. And I think there's some power in that. And what we do in the marketing world, I think, is we create something out of nothing. And that, I think, is something magical. And I do think doing things that other people say you can't do, or that you shouldn't do, or that won't work, that's what life's about. It's proving people that, no, we can do impossible things. So please, a couple times you might see things or be like, Jeph, I'm not going to chat GPT this. Stop saying that! You have no idea, it might actually work. Okay, WWGD, what would Google do? Not the other one. First things first, I have to kind of take you back to, at StratLab, we get the opportunity to see the back ends of every website we've ever built. So I have the access to roughly 400 or 500 website backends, and I see what traffic happens. One of the biggest things, everyone jumps, we need to social media. We got to get on social. We got to social media Look at your traffic. If you actually looked at your traffic, you'd probably realize that Google dominates where your traffic comes from. So before you jump into, you need to Facebook, we got to do that, maybe take a step back and ask, how are people finding my website and what are they doing there? And you're going to be pretty surprised that Google is still one of your best friends of getting traffic to your website. And now, not all websites are the same either. If you think about that, there's only 10 search results. So what you do in your website for the next little while matters a lot. There's a whole bunch of websites I want to show you. And immediately, without even looking at it for a couple seconds, you can get the feeling of a website just by glancing at it for a couple seconds. Our brains make up our minds literally within milliseconds of seeing something. So when you have too much text or there's too much writing, our brain goes, I can't, I don't want to do it. Analysis by paralysis. Paralysis by analysis is one of those two. Basically, you want to start not by overwhelming people and being very, very cautious with what you're putting on. If you need to have text, make it smaller, make it at the bottom somewhere, have some photo in there. And now, you don't need to hire Ansel Adams here to come in and take photos. What you actually need is somebody that really understands an iPhone camera. I know, the photography truists out there are going to hate me for this, but your iPhone can shoot very, very nice photos. Start trying to shoot more photos. Or better yet, have a photo of the week with the club and give somebody a free burger every time they send one in. So don't overthink this. If anything, I've always said, people don't come back to the website for the design. They may avoid your website because it's not designed very well, but they're coming back there for something. So ask them, what are you coming to my website for? Is it the schedule? Is it to understand how to register? Is it to figure out what I want to put my kid in? Ask your people, what are they using the website for? You'd be surprised. Full width images look good. The more images you're going to have, the better. Rarely do we ever go to a website and be like, there's too many photos on here. Get me out of here. No, nobody says that. So put photos on there and new photos. There's no excuse not to anymore. Take it to the next step now. Get it to the point when people see your homepage, they go, oh, cool. Where did you get that photo from? If you can keep that up. And the other one, I stole this from when I was president of Regina Volleyball Club. I remember I'd every season, if it was beach season, I would put a nice, beautiful photo of a beach volleyball club. All of a sudden, I had parents coming up and be like, I love the new website, Jeph. And I would always kind of giggle, being like, well, it's not new. I'm just changing out the photo. You don't need to redesign this stuff. You actually just need to have an eye for, what looks good or what's going to get my audience to go, oh my God, that's cool. Your website's your store, your brochure, schedule, photo album, where people register, answer questions, the leaderboard. Tabs left open from last night. Could you imagine? The leaderboard one, there's a golf club in Calgary that puts their top spenders on a leaderboard behind the bar. What a terrible incentive to get people to buy more drinks from you. But a cool way to get people to look at that leaderboard. Ask yourself, what's the reason people are going to come back to my website every week? Is it the photo of the week? Is it a trivia question? Is it, fill in the blank, do something that's going to get people back to my website over and over again. Your website should be easy to update, easy to navigate, have clear pictures on it, easy to find your location and contact info. By easy to find your location and contact info, a lot of them had that at the top bar, and then also in the bottom right-hand corner. We just naturally scroll down to find your contact info. Do that. If you can't update your website, talk to your website provider. That's weird. A lot of these websites were built on WordPress. We build on WordPress. So I know you have opportunities to do a whole bunch more with those. And clear pictures, that's an easy one. Moving on. Second point, there's only 2 reasons why we go online. To solve a problem or entertain ourselves. Think about that. There's no other reason we open up our phones or laptops. No, we're not going there to waste time. That's entertaining ourselves. So, if you have a newsletter that needs to go out and you have nothing to say, don't send it! You don't need to annoy people with communication. This is why, to me, social media is so bad, because people think they need to be messaging. You don't. Now, if you do need to message, make me giggle. If you can entertain me, if you can make me laugh, all of a sudden you've created a really good incentive. All you need to do sometimes is send one good email, and people will always open your email. The story I have is where we work out of this Path co-work, that every Monday they send this email. And Sarah, who writes them, she's a comic genius. I will laugh out loud at times. And there are some that are inappropriate, so I won't share here. But sometimes I literally have to go tell her in person, Sarah, this is so funny. Thank you for making my Monday. And then what happens? Every Monday I have to open up that email because I'm like, I wonder if she's going to send me another joke. Your website doesn't have to be stale anymore. Your social media doesn't have to be just for communication. You're allowed to have fun with it. When I was in university in computer science class, they gave us a little website, and I still remember mine was uregina.ca/Maystruck little tilde sign. I only remember that because that little tilde sign you never use in literally any communication at all on the internet or writing. But every weekend when we go out, I'd take pictures at parties and I would put them on here. And turns out everyone after the weekend would go check it just to see if they got into the photos. If you can create a reason for people to come back to your website regularly, you've done your job. But that takes a little bit of work. You're going to have to update something. You're going to have to do something. Or you can just do fun things like this. This is on John Cullen's website, actually. At the bottom of the article from one of the slams, it's, and the early Curses for Kids leader, it's Jason Gunlingson with $30. We'll see how well the ladies fare with the swear jar for the Sandra Schmirler Foundation in Calgary. If you're not familiar with this, on one of the broadcasts, we're familiar, swearing happens every now and then. Well, John Cullen had this brilliant idea of fining people, and it's actually going to a great cause. And there was also some talk of Ben Hebert prepaying for some of his swearing that he knew he was going to do. But it's doing stuff like this that gets the audience to go, oh, they're cursing? Oh, they're getting fined? Oh, it's going to a great cause? Wow, brilliant. And a good way to keep me on your website to go, oh my God, that's funny. If you go to the StratLab website and you type in the wrong URL, this is our 404 page. Every website has them. There, if nothing happens, this is where you go. And for ours, we have, it's a little graphic. Carter, our brilliant developer. This is actually an image that moves. It says, we're never going to give you up. We're never going to let you down, but the page you're looking for is no longer around. It's a rickroll. I was very proud of it when he came up with it, but it's one of those moments of, yeah, you could just say, hey, you can't find this page, goodbye. Or you can try to make people giggle a little. I'm always on board with trying to make people giggle a little. If you watch the Masters this past year, I've never seen anything like it. On the website, I'm not talking about the broadcast, but so I went to the Masters website, and it was something weird right away. They're like, select your group. You select your group, and what it did was it would give you all of their shots on a loop. No commentary, no advertising. I know. I told this to my brother who works in internet support at SaskTel, and he's like, oh, it's got to be ad support. And I was like, no, it's not ad supported. So what is going on here? The Masters are actually trying to keep you on their website to show golf in a different way. My girlfriend even said, this is actually the best way to watch it because you don't get the annoying talk. You hear shot after shot and you see your favorite golfers. Never seen anything like it. I watch F1 on my app on my phone. And even then, I think these guys did it even better. They have network problems all the time, so it's terrible. But the whole idea of watching a sport on your own device, on your own will, that is the norm now, so get used to it. And if you want an example of how to do it the best, I think the Masters did it. If you're going to be online, remember, if you're not solving my problem, entertain me. And if you want some entertaining tweets, Brad Jacobs is a great follow. If you look at what he tweeted here, many have asked why I stepped away from men's curling. This is why. Hashtag rock bottom. Hashtag still not over it. Hashtag can't sleep. Hashtag too strong. Hashtag true story. Lone win versus Canada 2013 against Brad Jacobs. He doesn't take himself too seriously. And you can see with his audience. The second you try to convince somebody of something, the second you get serious and you try to be the principal of the internet, you're not going to have a very good time. And there's example after example of people trying to tell other people what to do and what not to do, and it just never works out well. I don't want to show those examples. I'm sure you can go find them if you really want to. Now, if you're not familiar with memes, it's basically a way to communicate an entire story or a punchline and a joke in an image. You see them all the time now. Brands can do them. Organizations can do them. You could do them. All it is trying to make people realize what you're going through in your situation. And this one, me waiting for the Briar to start. And it's the, it's the Pablo Escobar. You can't be the Savannah Bananas, but you can sure try. People don't watch a sport. They want entertainment. We say we're going to a hockey game, but really, we want entertainment. We say we want to go watch curling, but really, we want to be entertained. If you've never heard of the Savannah Bananas, there's a trailer I want you to watch. But not just this trailer. There's actually, if you look it up, there's a 20-minute doc on how they started. They're the weirdest baseball team in the world, but they also sell out crowds all over the place. And this past year, they did a tour of the United States. It's not baseball, it's entertainment. It's like Cirque du Soleil got drunk and created a baseball game. But it's incredible. There's elderly cheerleaders. There's different rules, like if a fan catches a foul ball, you're out. So people freak out about these little moments that have changed the game of baseball. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, the truest of baseball, would say, but this isn't baseball. You're tainting the sport. But the problem is, in Savannah, Georgia, it's not a baseball city. You were never going to launch a baseball team and try to do traditional baseball there. That won't work. See, I even used it. The greatest show in sports is actually a show. It's a production. Now, if you watch the 20-minute doc on this, I think they were smart from the get-go. And you hear the struggle of when they took over the baseball team, nothing was in the stadium. It was gutted. They didn't have a name. They didn't have a logo. They had nothing. But right away, the owner said they want to involve the fans. The first thing they did is they got on the radio and said, we need your ideas. We want to name our team. We want you to name our team. And the funny part I always say is they may have had the name and logo right away. But what they wanted to do is involve the fans so they could be a part of it, so they felt like they could be a part of it. Watch the doc or watch the trailer and understand that just because someone has done a sport like this doesn't mean you have to. You can change. You can go outside that box. It was in grade 12 before our volleyball games. I would get on the microphone and it would be, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. And you could see people look like, what's this guy doing? Is he crazy? No! We wanted to put on a show. The very first one I can remember would have been in grade 8. We had a really cool pump-up song and it was our pep rally. And we draped a big banner in front of a change room. And a bunch of us grade 8 boys ran through that banner and kind of stumbled because, well, it was tough paper. But it was this moment of a pep rally, getting people excited. It was different. It was entertainment. People want entertainment, not a sport. Traditions are started when someone tries something new and it sticks. But the key is you have to try something new. Think about that. How do traditions happen? Somebody went on a limb and tried something. Somebody did something different, and somebody else said the next year, oh my God, we need to do that again. This was when Bobby was telling me about his cheeseburger spiel. Never heard of a cheeseburger spiel? Well, it's a spiel where at 1 o'clock, $500 worth of McDonald's shows up, so you're going to want to be there. He said that when he ran this, he didn't need to market it because everyone that saw it was happening signed up because it sounds fun. If you can figure out a way to run something where you don't need marketing and advertising, you've done it. It's the purple cow effect. It's the Seth Godin book. But the analogy goes, and I'm from Saskatchewan, so you see a cow, you don't see anything. We see them all the time. It's not a big deal. But if you see a purple cow, you have to talk about it. You have to remark on it, which makes it remarkable. So for your next spiel, for your next event, what are you doing that's going to get people to text a friend saying, oh my God, did you see what they're doing? If you can create an event that other people talk about, you've done it. You've made something remarkable. That's hard. That's really hard. But if it was easy, everyone would do it. But think, trying something new is how you're going to start a tradition. It's happened before. And if you want a good example, watch Moneyball. What Billy Beane does in the early 90s to the Oakland A's. Now, they're the team at the bottom of the barrel. They have no budget. And what Billy does is he sees something different in how to scout. He finds this guy that teaches them, scouting is so different than what you think it is. And literally changed the face of baseball forever. The following year, every other team took what he did and started doing that. That was a tradition that he went on a limb and did. Now, I love there's a shot of when he's in the room with all of the scouts, and you can see the look on their face. They hate him because he's changing things. They all think that'll never work. But guess what? It did. Innovation happens when constraints are in place, forcing you to do something different. Think about how innovation happens. In a recent book, the author said, if innovation happened with money, only billionaires would be coming up with new ideas. Think about that. Where do the best ideas come from? Generally, it's not the rich people that have nothing else to do. It's somebody that's forced to make a different decision because they had to. It's the club that has no money that was forced to do the fundraiser that actually helped bring them out, and now they're fine. You don't want to have all the things in the world. You don't want to have all the options in the world. You actually want to be in a constrained box to say, oh my God, we need to plan out of this somehow. Number 4, social media 3.0 no. What are your 3 Ps? Does your count of personality? I call it 3.0 no, because to me, social media 1.0 was like MySpace, the original MSN. It was communication. It was brilliant. If you remember MSN, you could leave that one-liner on there, make people giggle, maybe see if your crush was still on late at night. It was simple. Social media 2.0 came in, and this little thing called the algorithm, I don't want to say ruined things, but let's say it ruined things. It made it so controversy sold. It made it so the friends that you might not like what they're saying, but you're going to share that with somebody, their content would come up for you. Now, social media 3.0, to me, there's a little bit of a backlash of you can't just be there anymore. You can't just post things and expect an audience to show up. I like the one study of flip phones are becoming more popular again because kids, or a lot of the Gen Z in the United States are saying, I don't want to be connected 24/7, sorry. And I kind of like that idea. I don't want social media to run your life, and social media shouldn't run your life. What I would suggest is the 3 Ps of social media: people, passions, projects. This is about 4 or 5 years ago now. I still remember I came to the office, I'm like, you guys, I get it now. And my business partner rolls his eyes like, 7 years in and you finally get it? I'm like, yeah, it's people, passions, projects. Go look at your favorite accounts. Go on Instagram right now. Go look at your favorite accounts. I guarantee there's some form of people, passions, and projects. And they change it up. And so when we try to help people with social, it's, well, what are your 3 Ps? What do you mean? Well, do you work with people? Yeah, we have some people. Do you work on anything you're passionate about? Oh yeah, we do some work in the community. Cool. What do you actually do? Oh, we're a construction company. Cool. Now you have 3 different themes of sharing, and what I don't want you to do is be the hairdresser in my city. There's a hairdresser that posts the same thing every single day. It's just backs of heads. Well, guess what? We know what you do already. You don't need to post that. What we want is the behind the scenes. We want to know what you're like on a day off. We want to know what you care about. We want to know your hobbies. The best way I've had social media explained to me is, what are you bringing to the party? And by party, I mean, what are you bringing to social media? A lot of people think social media is this place where people want to hear from you and they're expecting to hear from you. That's like going to a party and having people going to show up and just want to talk to you immediately. No. If you just show up to the party and sit in the corner and talk about yourself and say, look at me. Oh, look at how bad my day was. Oh, can people come and console me? You would never talk to that person. So go back to your university days. Who's the most important person at the party? Who? The person that brings the keg, because they bring the most value to the party. Who's the second most important person? Well, I'm a foodie. So it's the person that brings the charcuterie board. If you bring the most value to the party, people are going to automatically like you. So when it comes to your social media, what value are you bringing? Are you helping people? Are you encouraging others? One of the simplest things you can do is find an organization or someone you like locally, shout them out, say something nice. Do the opposite of what most people do and get critical. Do the opposite. Be the angel's advocate. I know we jump on being the devil's advocate all the time, but I love, love, love the idea of next time someone gives you an idea, your automatic idea is, no, not going to work. Criticize it, right? Try the opposite. Be the angel's advocate. Try to figure out what is right about that idea that you could champion, that you could have. Back to the party. If you still don't know what you're going to be doing on social and you have nothing to bring to the party, that's okay. Just like in life, you can show other people that you're interested in them by being interested in them. And how do we show we have interest in people? We ask them questions. We show up in the comments. We leave emojis. We say, oh my God, it's a nice pic. Where'd you get it from? We actually talk to people. When you think social media is all about what you post, no. You can grow an account literally this afternoon by following people, interacting, and talking to them. I know that's hard work, though. You can't just set it and forget it, but that's what social's about. If you're going to go to the party, you may as well try. You may as well focus. You may as well do something that's going to provide value. And by value, that could be a contest. That could be having fun with folks. That could be a frequently asked questions episode. Or it could be posting about your daughter. Here's a cool moment when Brent Lang, he saw Roland tweeted, "Someone needs to tell the Canadian audience it is not in the spirit of curling to applaud or cheer for a bad shot." So Brent comes in and says, well, this is an interesting point of discussion. Why is it not in the spirit of curling to cheer when the opposition misses? And I'm not saying you're wrong, Roland. I'm just curious as to why it is, okay? And so this is what social media is for. Now Brent's played at the highest levels. So he knows, just like every other sport in this world, you're going to get booed. That's not a bad thing. That's fans being passionate about the sport. That's if your rival team misses a shot, I'm sorry, but I think that's a normal reaction. But this is cool. He's not jumping on it either. He's not trying to debate it. He's just saying, like, he wants to have a discussion about this. This is what I like the internet for. It's not just, here's the law and go. It's, oh, well, that's interesting. I disagree. Why? That tweet alone had 57,000 views. Incredible. Don't overthink your social media strategy. It all comes down to your 3 Ps. On top of that, we teach a class on social, and I think the number one response we've got from people is, I didn't know that many people wanted to follow me. One of the first things we'll recommend on social is find local people that are like you. So if you run a curling club in Chilliwack, you best be following every other curling club in BC and Alberta, every single one, and like their stuff, engage with their stuff. After a while, if someone's been liking your stuff and talking to you, you're gonna follow them. It's the Mr. Rogers, the more you know about somebody, it's hard not to like them. The more they show up, the more times they see you liking stuff. And I know this for a fact because we've got sales before when someone would say to my business partner, oh yeah, you've been liking our posts on Instagram for a couple years now. Duh, that was my sale. It's the new cold calling. You wanna grow your club? You can go door to door if you want. You can get on the phone if you want. Or you could start following people in your community and showing how fun it is. And then do a new curling night or do the 24-hour bonspiel. Ooh, might be doing that in Regina this year. Do something that gets people to go, oh, I didn't know you guys did that. Cool, I want to show up. Again, people, passions, projects. This one, there's a few curling shots, but actually it's more of Rachel's life about riding stuffies at the mall. And then Brad's always good for some funny ones. Currently, I'm at EJ's house watching EJ on TV while drinking EJ's beer. That one got 21 retweets, 1,600 likes. Again, don't take yourself too seriously. Doing giveaways can work really well. We always recommend doing giveaways. Yes, it can gain followers, but what it says to your people that are following you is, we appreciate you. It's subconscious. I like doing these regularly just to show people that there's a reason to follow us other than just showing our cute pictures of Ben and Brett. Try it. Some people are, once they hear this, they're like, well, we don't know how to, I don't know if we're allowed to, I don't know if we can. Do something simple. There's a really easy one, and I don't want to recommend it because I want you to support a local coffee shop. But if you have to, you could do a Tim Hortons one because then whoever wins, you could just email them. Or do like I do and give away a book, which we're going to if you share this podcast. And you tag Curling Canada and Jeph Maystruck, I'm going to buy several people an audiobook from here. This is the biggest contest we ever did. It was with Sask Milk. We gave away free milk for a year. You can see at the bottom there, I think it had just over 2,200 likes. There's about 7,000 followers on the account. So that's like, that's like a third of the followers liking that. That's incredible. But again, it's a contest. It's something generous. It's showing people you care outside of, here's my post from this week. If you're not on Canva, download it right now. Stop watching this, get on Canva, and go through a bunch of tutorials on it. One of the best feedback I had from one of my classes was, I didn't know Canva existed. And in our world, I was watching one of our graphic designers the other day. He knows how to use Photoshop and InDesign, but he was in Canva because it's just easy to template things and send off to people. If you're not familiar with it, it's not hard. And don't, here's a story from this past week. Don't be like Jeph. You can't think your way through problems, you're just gonna do them. By thinking your way through is, you could probably find a book on Canva, or you could probably find a class on it. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to get your hands dirty with it immediately and go start playing with it. And my story is, I'm a foodie, I like cooking. And this past week, my sister got me a meat grinder attachment for my KitchenAid. And I was so bloody excited. I grinded some burgers. I made the burgers. I didn't finish grinding the meat because the poor thing overheated. So I put everything back in the freezer, made the burgers, literally had the greatest burger of my life. It was in euphoria, like literally, angels singing. Go back to the meat grinder. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna finish off the burgers now. I had left it in the freezer. I turn it on, smash, I shatter the outside ring, and I literally break the meat grinder I just bought. So I should have read the instructions. I should have went through the user's manual and figured that out. But that's not how we think these days. You can't study your way through these things. You have to try it. And so yes, the meat grinder is a bad example of me not following directions. You're not gonna find directions for Canva. You're not gonna find directions for TikTok. You just have to go in and try them out and experiment. That's how you learn. What are things you can post on your account? Club tours, behind the scenes, meet the staff, facts, beginner's night, new member initiation, Burger Tuesday. And if you share this post, you get free bacon for a month. No, maybe. Do something fun though. Make people go, oh, holy shnikes, I didn't know you guys did that. Chat, make this presentation better. So at this point, I usually stop the presentation, we get out ChatGPT, and we ask it questions. If you're not familiar, chat looks like this. It looks like this, and you just ask it questions. And so it's an artificial intelligence model. So basically, they've given this thing mounds and mounds of data, and it's literally smarter than I am for writing things. This is how fast it's been adopted by the internet. It took 5 days to get to 1 million users. It's free, so whatever you're putting in there, they're still using it. And it's the quote of, if you're not paying for it, you are the product. And so I was talking to the Ministry of Highways for the government of Saskatchewan 2 weeks ago, and under their directive, they said they can use it, just do not put any proprietary or confidential information into it, because once it's you basically in chat, anyone can access it now. But that's cool. A government said, yeah, you can use it. Now, I experimented with this morning. You can write termination letters for your staff. It actually just spits out. And then if it's too mean, can you write that nicer? It actually writes it nicer. I tried it for a 22-team curling draw where each team is promised 3 games and then there's a single elimination playoff. It spits you out a draw. You have a menu that doesn't look really good. You put it in there and ask it to format it. Basically, anything you do writing-wise, you need to be asking chat to help you with it because it's going to make you a better writer. It's going to produce better outcomes. We have one client that their customer service department, all their emails are written by chat now just because they can write them better. If you haven't experimented with it, please try. It's going to blow your mind with what you can do with it, and whatever you need to write. If it's proposals, if it's grant funding, if it's a write-up for an email you need to send out to your crew, chat can help you with it. Don't think it's removing jobs. If you'll notice when you use it, someone has to type in the there has to be a prompt. And if you can learn how to prompt it, and if you can learn how to use it, oh, you're going to be very valuable in this world. Sponsorship has evolved. Have you? How are you activating your sponsorships? So gone are the days where you're going to pay some money and get into the brochure and have your logo listed. There's so much more to it. Right off the top of my head, though, number one, your website's very valuable. You have this thing called Google Juice. That's what we call it in the SEO world, or search engine optimization world. Your website's valuable, and when you give a link to someone else, that's also very valuable. So the number one thing is put a sponsorship page on your website and equate that to several $100s worth of value for each of those sponsors. So if companies want to get in at the least amount possible, call it $500. Sell out that page. Put 5, 10, 20 people on there. 20 people paying $500 a year, that's decent revenue for a page on your website that didn't exist last year. But on top of that, I think you can do so much more. You could involve your people. You could have a homepage takeover. You could do a shout out on social media. You could do a commercial for social media. You could start naming things around the rink, but not just, oh, this is the Chilliwack rink. No, have something fun. Name the ketchup bottles. Name the tables. You can literally put a name on anything, because the people that are going to want to cough up the money to do that are probably the ones that are going to be there all the time. So they'd want Jeff's table right in the middle, or Jeff's mug. Film your members talking about sponsors. If there's one cool thing we did, it's music to sponsors' ears when you hear this. We're trying something new. Now, the crazy part is you don't even need to do something new, quote unquote. You just need to have something more. Whatever they did last year, if you can say, oh, we're going to do this, but we got something new we're going to try this year. All of a sudden, you have a cool conversation. Oh, what is it? We're going to do a fundraiser, a 24-hour spiel. We're going to actually try to curl for 24 hours. We don't know if that's true or not. But in Regina, I think we're going to try doing that. Something that's different, something that you can promise, something that you can activate that the sponsor's going to go, oh, cool, thanks for that. Getting your people involved, so having your president or having the club champion, they have to film the commercial for one of your sponsors this year. We have some really cool ones that we did. This is Johnny talking about the Canada Dream. Canadian Angus, we had a steak-off where it was Ben and Johnny versus Koo and BJ, and they both had to cook the perfect steak. And then Coach John was going to be the judge. These things, though, didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago. Nobody was asking, oh, can we involve the athletes? Well, why not? Instead of having just that logo on the rink, maybe this year the club champion's literally going to go to the business and shoot a commercial with them. What would your Netflix series be? Now, I call this Why Drive to Survive saved Formula One. That may not be true. But what it did was create a whole ton of new fans, all because there was so much drama behind this sport. Now, it's funny. Throughout my life, I've loved hockey, but I could never watch it. I played volleyball, played golf, played a lot of sports. I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but I can't sit still and my brain runs a mile a minute, so I might have it. I've never been able to sit and actually watch sports until now. And every time there's a race, I watch it. Every time for quali, practice, 1, 2, 3. I watch it all, but it's not that much. It's not a big time commitment. I feel like I'm vested into the lives of these folks now. And what I want you to start thinking about is, what's your series going to be? What are you going to open up and show the world about? Formula One didn't do it first. If you remember, the Road to the Winter Classic, the very first one HBO did, it was with Sidney Crosby versus Ovechkin. And it was, I still remember one of the interviews. It was like lighting like I have here today. There was this beautiful shot of this hockey player where you could see every dimple on his face. And I remember pausing it and going to my business partner, and I said, Brandon, we need that shot. That looks so good. And he just looks at me, he's like, yeah, they're just using a light ring. It was like it was nothing. But that to me upped the game of how sports are going to be portrayed in the media and entertainment. And I still remember one of the episodes, it was Ovechkin was in his trainer's room complaining about his back was hurting. And he's like, oh, I think I need a massage. I'm a little bit sore. And the trainer's freaking out because he's not hurt. Or quote, they don't think he's hurt. And so, oh my God, are you okay? Like, should we go talk to the doctor? Oh, no. I think I just need a massage to get it out. And the trainer looks at him and says, Ovi, if you just want a massage, you can just ask for a massage. He giggled. He was trying to get a free massage. Here's a multi-millionaire who has all the success in the world. And behind the scenes, he's a little kid. He's trying to scam his team into getting a free massage. You would never see this if it wasn't for this series of Road to the Winter Classic. I think sport is so incredible. It's the Billy Bean. It's hard not to get romantic about baseball. It's hard not to get romantic about sport if you know the inside story of what's going on. Tennis did it this year. Point Break, a whole series on the inside story of tennis. And they greenlit the second series, so the second year. So it's like Netflix never does that. So to me, that's a huge success. Next one would be Full Swing, the story of golf, which now with LIV and the PGA merging, this next season's going to be incredible. But again, we know what you're doing. You're golfing. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. It's the behind-the-scenes stuff. It's the struggle. It's falling in love with John Damon, the one golfer with the bucket hat? Everyone loves him on the internet, all because of a series. So what's your series going to be? What's the behind-the-scenes storyline that you're going to talk about? For myself, I want you, encourage you, if you haven't watched Drive to Survive, you can watch the trailer or go to Netflix and watch it. It's something I've never experienced before and something that's so cool that now I have to watch every race and I'm completely involved. But there's reasons for that. The reasons I think Drive to Survive was such a success, they show the struggle in the sport. They don't try to cap that. And there's some aggressive language at times and people going through hell and back. That's what we want to see. We want to know what the struggle is. We want to see the life outside of sport. I think the final season was Mattia Benito and the principal of Haas weaving down an Italian countryside in this tiny little car. It's a beautiful shot. Make it easy for me to be a fan. The cool part about F1 is on race weekends, I think I have a couple hours on the Friday, a couple hours on the Saturday, and a couple hours Sunday. That's it. If you're an NFL fan, that's a whole day you have to take off. I don't have time for that. So again, for your sport, and this was one question we had, one presentation was, Jeph, these young kids, they just want to curl a couple ends and have a drink. What do we do? I looked them in the eye and said, schedule 2 ends, serve them a drink. And you could see the wheels turning like, oh, we can change our schedules? You have to change your schedules. That's what the world wants now. Small commitment time for fans and make it easy to watch. Making it easy to watch is easy now. Everyone's streaming it. Every curling ring has the streaming. What you need to figure out is what do your fans want? Is it a small time commitment? Is it showing up and actually being in the rink? Don't know. So lastly, on the Drive to Survive idea, there's a storyline that you're going through in your club, whether you like it or not. And you could say, no, we don't want to talk about any of it. Or you can start opening up about it and inviting the community in to be a part of it. What's your TikTok strategy? And it's not just TikTok. I don't need you to get on TikTok. But when you look up curling on TikTok, there's not a lot of major brands or people. So I feel like there's a huge opportunity. And the folks that are on curling TikTok, oh my God, it's hilarious. I would encourage you to look it up. There are some that we will share in a video, but basically TikTok has just created a much, much, much easier way to create video. And again, you don't need to go download the TikTok how-to guide. What I want you to do is download the app and try, or at least experiment. And if you're really scared about having that app on your phone, go to YouTube and look up the funniest TikToks on curling, and you'll find some there. What it reminds me of, though, is Jeph in an earlier life when someone was like, hey, have you seen this new app? It's going to take out Facebook. What? Nothing could take out Facebook. Yeah, it's called Instagram. Nope, it won't work. I was late to getting on Instagram. I teach this stuff. That's embarrassing. Please, for the rest of your life, never say, oh, that'll never work, and oh, I'll never get on there. You never know. I like my dad sent me the article from the Globe about old influencers, elderly people that are being influencers selling products. Because guess what? We don't want to buy, if we're looking for a product that's made for myself, I don't want to listen to a Gen Zer talking about it. I actually want someone my age. So you never know. Maybe you could be an influencer at one point too. And read this book. Don't be like my dad. Dad, have you read this book? Oh yeah, I know that book. Hasn't changed the routine in the last 20 years. Changing routines, doing things differently, not using a cutlery organizer makes your brain go, I need to think a little. That's a good thing. So don't match your socks one day. Take a different road to work. Do things that make your brain go, oh, I've never seen that before. That's very healthy. Very healthy for us. So what are you trying to do new and different or that you're uncomfortable with? When we redesign our new website, I know I could probably say, no, I need it to look like this. But that would be me flexing my ego to say, I want my way. What I let our team do, sometimes I'm uncomfortable with. But that's a good thing. I don't want to have the say in everything. So if you're the boss, you're the manager, the owner, what are you uncomfortable with? What are you doing that other people are going to take off your plate and you're going to say, oh my God, oh, that doesn't make me feel good. But guess what? You're helping them learn something new. You're helping them do something amazing, and I think that's something to celebrate. Couple left. The market for something to believe in is infinite. This is a sketch from Hugh MacLeod, one of my favorite authors and cartoonists in this world. But the market for something to believe in is infinite. If there's one thing that has never changed with the internet is there's new ideas, the new things happening all the time. Even after the presentation in Moncton, a guy comes up, shows me a TikTok of his club curling with beer kegs. And I'm like, see, you're doing it already. But what I mean by something to believe in is what are you doing that's going to catch on? What are you going to do that's new and different? If you haven't watched this, it's on Netflix. It's the And One story. And at one point, And One, the organization, they were giving out 50,000 VHS tapes of their mixtape. And when I found that out, I had this moment of like, we're doing a direct mail campaign with stickers. I'm just mailing, and I thought it was a lot. We're mailing out 10 packs of stickers. Not 50,000. So when you think your task is daunting, when you think you have, oh, that's too much to do, remember, And One. And this was before the internet. They weren't mailing these out. They were hand bombing these to people, anybody that would take them. And it worked. It's a great documentary. I'd watch it. The Rough Riders did it. Early 90s, the team was literally the worst in the world. But remember, when we're at our worst, when we have no budget, that's when we get creative. That's when cool things happen. And what happened out of it, Rough Riders had all these diehard fans that put these watermelons on, like this crazy guy in here. And they would go and they would cheer for this team that meant the world to them just because they were having some camaraderie around a terrible football team. Lastly, the Vegas Knights did it too. If you've ever been to a game, anytime I ask somebody what it's like to go to a game and you can see their eyes light up like, oh, it's amazing. And the hockey's good too. They get in-game experiences to the next level, but that's what you need to do. It's not about the sport, it's about the entertainment and what are you doing for your fans. Lastly, how are you going to outcare the competition? What's your thing going to be? What's your that'll never work? When's somebody going to say that to you? Starting a company in the social media world, we had that a lot. I always say for the first 3 years, I don't think my dad believed what I did. And now when we come up with things like the Honest Conference or Big Idea Camp, we're almost expected to have people look at us and say, well, that'll never work. But we know it does. If we believe in it, we can do it. This camp's been running for 8 years now. It's a high school camp for students that want to learn about business in Regina. And I still remember when we started it. The other funny thing is nobody talks about your failures. Nobody talks about how bad things are or the opposite side. The first year, I think we had like 8 students and it was like a one-day camp. And I still remember people coming after me like, wow, what a success that was. And I'm like, that was a success? You don't define success, they do though. And they only see what goes out. And if you're very positive about it and you're affecting people, people will look at it as a success. Even if you only have 8 people show up. So don't worry about it. If it's year 1, cool. Just don't give up and plan year 2. This is our last year. Yes, you can wear a wig if you're the camp counselor. Someone telling you that'll never work is an excuse to stop, so please don't let it. Use it as a feather in your cap. If you come up with something new and people say, oh yeah, that sounds good, that'll work, you haven't gone far enough. You gotta push the new, you gotta do something that someone's gonna say, you're gonna try what? That's it. Stop selling, start caring. You've been a wonderful audience today. But really what it comes down to, try something new and don't be afraid. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.